Well, went and bought one. 2021 X758. So might be a surprise to some folks, might not be a surprise to others. I have been looking for a newer X7 to complement the my X748 for quite a while, and finally decided I was just going to go buy a new one. I got tired of trying to deal with used ones. I looked at a lot of used ones, but frankly, for me, by the time I got done, buying a new one was the way to go. So it's 2021 X758. Have the 60-inch high-capacity deck. It is basically a mirror of my X748 in terms of mowing, except it's just got, instead of the 7-gauge steel deck or the 7-iron deck, it's got a 9-gauge steel deck. And it's got the newer engine in it. So it's got the 0.9 liter, something like that in it. And it is hydraulic front wheel drive, or hydraulic 4-wheel drive, which I will go over later in this video, compared to the mechanical 4-wheel drive in my 2007 X748. I haven't even used it yet. It's got a half hour on it. Loaded it on the trailer this morning. And actually I bought it on Wednesday, loaded it on the trailer this morning. We'll use it this afternoon. In fact, right now my wife is using the X748 to mow with, so I could do this video. This is her machine. I bought this specifically for her. So she's going to use it. You probably won't see me use it much. It is going to be just a mower. There's not even going to put at the moment, I'm not even going to put a 3-point on it or a click and go bracket. It doesn't fit the 45 loader that I have for the X748. So, you know, that's what it is. I did order the armrest kit for the seat. She did want that. And I also went ahead and ordered the through drive shaft for the front axle. That way in the spring, maybe, if I need to at a future date, I can use this to run the broom while I keep the loader on the X748, or I can use a blade on the X748, so on and so forth. What I'm going to do is I'm going to walk around and I'm going to talk about some of the points of the machine, why, basically kind of why I bought it and why I did not buy a used unit, why I didn't buy an older X748. I'm just going to kind of walk around, show you some of the controls, take it for a test drive, and we will go for there. All right, so I figured I'd start off with the operator station. I think it's pretty intuitive, but if you're looking at a new X758, just kind of some things that in terms of buttons and controls. So you have your throttle right here. You have your reverse implement operation right here. This little yellow button, you push it in if you want to back up. You have your 12-volt outlet to turn off and on. You have your hydraulic controls. The top one controls the up and down for the deck. The bottom one would be the up and down for the snow blade, because it is the one, oh, it was already in float. It is the one that has float, so it would cause the snow blade to float up and down, and this would be your tilt angle if you had a blade attached. You have your PTO switch right here. You pull up. Now on the X758s, you'd pull up again, and that would engage the RIO system. However, it says right here, protect children. This product's equipped with an RIO, reverse implement operation, exclusive John Deere feature to remind the operator of safety before moving in reverse. The RIO should only be used when operating another implement or when the operator deems it necessary to reposition the machine with the mower blades engaged. So, to operate the RIO, look down behind you and activate the switch before moving in reverse. The additional information is consult your operator's manual. Safety, live with it. Not necessarily a bad deal. Most people get really offended by the reverse implement operation. However, I have several machines with it, and it doesn't bother me. It's really come to the point that I really don't care. So, cruise control right here. So you push that down to activate cruise control, and then this is your parking brake. You lift up. So parking brake, you lift up, and now it's engaged. Now it's disengaged. So down here is your deck height. So right now the deck height is all the way down. And then there's also some notices here on deck leveling. I don't know if I need to level the deck. Hopefully they've leveled the deck before I pick this thing up. So all the instructions for operating the mower are down there on the dash. Brake pedal, forward, reverse. Pretty simple stuff. Overall, like I said, this machine, I ordered it with I bought it with the 60-inch deck on it. The 60-inch deck is the same structure as the 7-iron deck on the older X758s. There are a few differences. The gauge wheels are different. Also, probably one of my least favorite modifications that Deere has made is these new plastic covers. I actually have some yellow deck covers from a 54 high capacity deck that I will probably actually replace the plastic covers with the metal ones. I don't know why Deere went to the plastic covers. I mean, they seem pretty stout from everything that I've looked at them for, and I looked at it on the lot. So, I mean, I don't necessarily see a problem with it, but I just don't like the appearance of the plastic. And I don't know what year, I think it was 2018, 2019, Deere started putting alloy rims on these machines. That is the only option you get. I'm not necessarily a huge fan. Some people are. There's nothing wrong with the alloy rims. It does have the 26-12-12 tires in the back. And then what are these? I can never remember this front size, 18-850-10s up front. So the X758 is the hydraulic front wheel assist unit. So it is four-wheel drive machine. It is full-time four-wheel drive. Because four-wheel drive requires different speeds of the two tires on either side, that one of the, I think, the coolest features on these hydraulic front-wheel drive units is the fact this metering valve right here. This metering valve, basically, as you turn, meters the amount of fluid going to each wheel. That is adjustable in the owner's manual, but it meters the amount of fluid going to each wheel to either slow and or speed up the wheel speed, whether on how you are making a turn. I just think that's an ingenious system. Really impressed with it. You're not having to shift it in and out of four-wheel drive. Now, I will actually, in the next couple of videos, I will do a direct comparison between my 07 X748 and this X758. Probably another thing that I think Deere finally got right on this X758 is the fact that you can't do this off the machine. You finally open this glove compartment or whatever from the side, which is really nice because historically on the X7, you probably need to be on a stupid machine to do that. On the X748, it opens in the front. When you're hauling down the road, the lid flies off and that's it. It does have the 12-volt outlet in the back here, so you're not having to run sprayer cables and stuff inside there. So you can plug in a sprayer right there. You can turn it on and off. It's on the machine. This is the standard seat. I did order, as I mentioned, armrest for it for my wife. I don't have necessarily any problem with the standard seat. The air ride seat's an additional about $1,000. I saw no reason to go into the air ride seat. However, some people, from what I've read, really like them. And maybe that's a feature we'll add in the future. I don't foresee that, but I mean, it's something we do add. So now I think the big question people will ask is, why would I purchase? I have, if you are new to these videos, I have all of this used equipment. I mean, you can see everything in here. I have the only new John Deere machine I have ever purchased is my 4066R. Why on earth did I buy a new mower instead of buying a used one? In my opinion, I think the prices of used, I would say a few years old used units is ridiculous. So for instance, we'll just take this machine as an example. So I bought this, and I'll go ahead and tell you that I paid $13,950 for it. As it sits, so that's no tax, that's no attachments, anything else. That's about 8 or 10% off of MSRP from what I can figure out. And you can finance it for 0% for 36 months. Great. $200 and some odd a month payments if you want to go that route, or you can pay putting something down. I don't necessarily need to get any specifics of how I'm paying for this machine, but you know, that's what I paid. So that's what it was. And then you obviously have applicable tax, sales tax, or excise tax, or whatever tax you have for your state, delivery fees, dealer setup, if you're going to pay that. But this one was $13,950 plus tax, tag, title, insurance, fees, whatever you want to call it. Which, like I said, is 8 to 10% off of MSRP, which I thought was a very acceptable deal. I had no problems with that. But I'll give you a couple of cases of why I bought a new one. There's a dealer about an hour and a half away from here, has a 2018 X758. It does have a click and go bracket on it. But other than that, it's pretty much the exact same machine, and they want $11,999. And it's got 100 and some odd hours on it. So it's a 2018, so it's 3 years old. It's got 100 and some odd hours on it. It basically has 1 year of warranty left, and they want $12,000 for it. Well, if you take a personal loan out over, say, 3 years or 4 years or however long you want to amortize it for, you're going to pay an additional, you know, probably anywhere from $1,000 to $1,800 worth of interest expense, making the machines cost the same. And you don't have a new machine. And so I just think when it comes down to used machines, I just could not justify a used X758. And I'll get into another video on why I bought a 758 over 38 and stuff like the diesel versus gas thing. It's a whole nother video. I've gone over that before in the past. So, I mean, realistically, when you think about, you know, buying a new machine, you really have to weigh cost. You know, it doesn't make any sense, particularly in today's market where interest rates are so low. It doesn't make any sense to go out and pay cash for things. At least in my situation, I'm not going to go out and unload a bunch of cash on something that somebody's willing to hold my debt. So maybe that's a little bit too much information, but that's just how I view it. Obviously, everybody operates differently. You have your own financial system in play, but I could not justify buying a used unit and paying a financing cost, you know, an interest, and then loan origination if you needed that. I just couldn't justify that. So that's why I bought new. I mean, basically a new one was the same price as a lightly used one. I did look for many years. I have been looking for a 2010 X748. So I do want the hydraulic front wheel assist if I was going to buy an X748, which they made from 2010 to 2012. However, the 2010s had the 1.1 liter Yanmar instead of the 0.9 liter Yanmar. And I like the 1.1 liter Yanmar a little bit better than the 0.9 liter. That's just personal preference on my end. I don't think it's necessarily a big deal for anyone else. But the X748s are getting to the age that, and I was actually talking with a friend about this morning, they're getting that age that they either have, you know, a decent number of hours and they're getting some wear on them. I mean, the last one rolled off the line 9 years ago, and most of them rolled off the lines, well, between 06 and 2012. And, you know, so they've got some age on them. They're either going to be used, substantially used to where they start needing maintenance, or they're going to be garage kept on carpet and they're going to be pristine and they're going to want a new price. I actually looked at an X748 last year. It was 2009, and I think the seller wanted like $10,000 for it. And I mean, it's hard to justify $10,000 for a used machine. That's not to say there aren't cheaper X748s out there, but typically when you get into that, you know, $5,000 and $6,000 unit, it's got some hours on it. For instance, my 2007 X748 has a little over 800 hours on it now. No, maybe it's close to 800 hours. I can't remember. Anyway, beside the point. You know, so it's getting some wear on it. I mean, it's got some small issues here and there. I mean, as you would expect with any machine. So buying new was the thing for me. You know, and that's why I bought new. I am looking forward to using this machine. Like I said, mostly going to be my wife using it. You know, we'll do some demonstration, or I'll do some demonstrations of taking the deck on and off. we will I did not get the auto connect deck or anything like that. It's just a plain simple unit. I will do a video because it's been requested before. I will do a video of putting that front axle shaft in. I have that, well, the kit's not in yet, but should be in later next week. So we'll go ahead and do that. You know, overall, really happy with the machine. Glad I bought it. I do want to go over a couple things underneath the hood. So this engine right here is the 3TNM74 engine compared to the 3TNV78. I think it's a 78 engine. And my X758, maybe it's 76. I'll have to look. We will get into those specifics when I do the comparison between the two machines. A couple things that I'm interested to see why Deere made these changes between the two models. I really like this area right here. On the X758, it's a kind of its own cover that you have to pull off. This, on the other hand, to remove the screen, it's kind of all integrated, which is actually kind of nice. You're not having to pull a screen off and on all the time, which I actually am really excited about. You know, overall, it's pretty much, you know, it's a mower. I don't think there's that many changes between the two machines. I mean, obviously, there's some styling changes, stuff like that. You know, I just don't see much of a big deal about anything. So, I mean, we'll have to do the 50-hour service on it when it gets there. You know, but other than that, I think we're set to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go out. Well, here, let's crank it up real quick. That way you can hear it run. I'm actually going to put the parking brake on. That way I can do this off the machine. I haven't decided if I'm a fan of the digital dash or not. It's one of those things that some people are like, oh, I can't believe we're going to have a digital dash. If you store the machine outside, I don't think it's the best. But, you know, otherwise, I think it's okay. But here we go. Sounds like a diesel, right? It does it because it's the 0.9 liter engine. It idles a little bit higher. It's going to have a higher top end speed or wide open throttle. I can't remember the specs off the top of my head. But yeah, it's got a grand total of a half hour on it. And so it's going to have a little bit higher speed. Hopefully, that is one of the things that I don't think a lot of people realize. When they went to the Mini Max or the 0.9 liter engine, I believe those engines have a governed speed at 3,600 RPM, whereas the X748 has a little bit lower governed speed. However, it's the same deck and gearbox design between all of those machines. So theoretically, if you mow it wide open throttle like you should, the newer engine should actually, the deck should cut a little better because the blades are going a little bit faster. But we're going to test all those out because basically we have a 7-iron deck, and if you can see, I don't know if you can see out that window or out that door down there. My wife's going to be angry. We'll walk down here through all of the junk. If you can see her out there, she's going back and forth on the X748. We are going to compare the mowing decks next to each other. We'll do that comparison. I don't know if we'll get to it this time when we're mowing, but we will eventually make those comparisons. So we'll compare if there's any difference between the two decks and kind of go from there. But if you have questions, comments about an X758, leave them below. I will say that my intention is we're going to do a comparison of the X748 and the X758. I'm also going to talk about, now keep in mind that I did not buy a 1 Series. Most people think that, okay, well, if you bought an X758, why didn't you buy a 1 Series? I'm actually going to outline some reasons on why I did not buy a 1 Series, and I'm also going to outline why I bought a diesel 4-wheel drive when I just need this as a mower, compared to a gas 2-wheel drive or a gas 4-wheel drive, or even an all-wheel steer. I'm going to get into all those model comparisons. We're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about why you may want a different model. You know, just because I bought an X758 doesn't mean that everybody needs an X758. Maybe a X730 or a older X720 or an X748 would be the machine for you. But you really have to do the research, and I will outline why I make my decisions, and then you can use that to make your own decision. So if you have questions, comments, leave them below. If you have specific questions you want me to answer about these machines, particularly the X758, drop them in there. If you want to see something on a video, like how something operates, throw it down there. I have absolutely no objections for somebody requesting that we add an attachment to this, you know, just to show how it hooks up or something like that. We can do that, you know, if I have that attachment. Over time, I am sure I will add things to this, but right now I have no intentions of adding anything else than the armrest and the through axle drive shaft. But we can put a blade on it, we can put a broom on it with that through axle drive shaft, and maybe in the future we'll add the PTO and we'll add the 3-point and the click and go brackets. You know, so that's something we can definitely get to, but not right now. I don't think, and I will outline some of those options or some of those reasons when I talk about the 1 Series versus X7. So thanks for watching. Looking forward to using this machine.